Bring us in, John Boy.
I mean, don't you want to record some witty fucking banter for pre-roll?
No, you have a sleeping baby, and I'm tired.
Yeah, okay. Welcome to Fantastic Neighborhood Gaiden, episode 16. I am your host, John Anderson, and joining me today, and as always, Mr. Fred Earhart.
Dun dun dun! Suspenseful.
So, Fantastic Neighborhood Gaiden, that is ostensibly, or ostensibly, depending on what week it is.
What mispronunciation you want to use?
Yeah, postentrically. So this is our shorter show where we try to tackle one topic, and I don't know. Is that about it, Fred? What do we? Come on. What do I do? What do I do? What is show?
What is show? What is game? What do any of us do in the larger scheme of things, really? Oh, that was attractive for the camera. Are you in repose right now? Did that just happen?
As long as I'm broadcasting from here, I figure might as well, right? Okay.
From the sex dungeon?
The sex dungeon. Yeah, no, from my bedroom.
Like I said, the sex dungeon.
Not so much a it's like a moat. It's like a sex moat. If we're gonna go with castle metaphors. Okay. This was terrible.
It was. So let's talk about what we came to talk about, John.
All right. So the topic this week is unfinished cliffhangers, right? Games that were really, really ambitious, and they were like, to be continued. Like, I was just thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like, it says Guardians of the Galaxy will return. They have a sequel announced, and this, by the time this movie already released. Well, this movie was successful. Some games have done this, and maybe not come back. Maybe not.
A good amount of these happened, during development too, like the announcements.
Yeah, they will pre-announce a trilogy.
Yeah, before they even know what interest is in the IP. And it's weird too. Before we actually get into the game titles, one of the things I wanted to mention is, so this is something that's not uncommon in Hollywood, right? TV and movie, they get canceled all the time. Like, one of my favorite shows of recent memory was Almost Human, and that got the axe. And I
really liked that, but then they started showing the episodes out of order.
Well, that's a Fox thing. Fox does that all the time. But that also Firefly being the big one, right?
Yeah, but, Firefly is not very good, though.
But we're all very much used to that in the world of television. And with video games, it's weird because with TV, you need the same actors. So if an actor falls through, like a main actor, like maybe you can't bring a franchise back together or something like that, someone dies. With video games, though, you don't necessarily need all the same people. Yet they still drop off the face of the map.
That's right, Fred. But video games are still super expensive to make.
Yes.
And can have serious complications. Which brings us to our first title, Fred, one that is near and dear to my heart. By near and dear to my heart, I mean I played this because I was an idiot.
Yes. Was this What's Hiding in John's Closet?
No, I played this well before we met.
Okay.
I pre-ordered this game. Too Human, the Dennis Dyack joint, the Silicon Knights, the guys what brought you. What's that scary GameCube game?
Oh, Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, so they did that, and Legacy of Kain?
Maybe. All of those games, every game you've just mentioned sort of ends on a cliffhanger, too.
They also did the excellent GameCube port of Metal Gear Solid.
Yes.
I like that. It was like Metal Gear Solid, but they made it even crazier by adding like John Woo style action cutscenes. I actually really.
And then illegally using pieces of the Unreal Engine.
Well, that's what happened with this game, right? So Too Human was announced as this sprawling trilogy combining Norse mythology with this cyberpunk thing, and it was going to be it was supposed to be a dungeon crawler-esque character action game. What we got was just a really no, I don't want to say ambitious, just a really overpromised, underdelivered game. One of the worst control schemes I've ever seen. The right analog stick was used to attack.
Oh,
So
I
just
hate
wrap your mind around that real quick.
Yeah.
It had like, I don't know, I kept waiting for something to happen in the plot, but like nothing ever happened. And it was supposed
It was all just build up, right?
right, and it was supposed to be this choice of whether like, oh, you go techno or you go like organic, and you know what humanity gets left. But like, it's a really binary choice. You don't get to it was really odd in that way. But I couldn't even really remember the story or what happened. I just remember like that it wasn't going to get finished. I guess the first game they spent the majority of it setting the stage, but the stage is pretty bad. It, I, something Loki is a bad guy. Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
You play as Baldur. Like, come on, boring god. But yeah, I think the chances of this one ever getting finished are slim to none.
I think heavily leaning towards none, because I don't think there's a real fan base clamoring to see anything more.
Yeah.
And also, Silicon Knights gone.
Well, they're gone. They closed Silicon Knights and then they opened like Silicon Knights with like an N instead of a K or something. They opened that, and so then that studio, right? Like one of the lead writers just convicted of child pornography charges. Yeah,
it's a whole lot of good going on over there. So yeah, like we said, not a big fan base for this title.
Yeah, Dennis Dyack. I don't know if you remember, but he went on like one of the old EGM podcasts and went on like a 2-hour rant about the evils of the industry. That guy's.
I don't know if he's necessarily wrong, but
well, that guy's a whack job.
Fair enough. So moving on, let's talk about a French game. I don't know what I equate this with French people. This game.
Oui.
So Beyond Good and Evil, which is a game that you and I played in Game Club.
Yeah.
And we both really liked it and couldn't put our finger on why.
I wouldn't say I really liked it. I'd say I liked it. I know I would have loved it if I played it when it originally came out in 2003 or 4.
Yeah.
It just, there are aspects of it that didn't really age super well. But yeah, and I don't remember the whole story. Something about like a nefarious,
like a totalitarian government, and then they're kidnapping.
Secret alien invasion?
Yeah, secret alien invasion through the totalitarian government, and then they're kidnapping people for some reason to suck their soul energy or some such thing.
Yeah.
Also, there was a race that you could ride boats in a race. I remember.
Yeah. This game kind of feels like an N64 game to me. Right?
It had a lot of, it was like very serious, and then there were also anthropomorphic animal characters everywhere.
Yeah. Like, collect this orb by betting with this shark.
Yeah. But anyway, so at the end of the game, and in case you guys haven't guessed, there's spoilers in this episode for this 10-year-old game. At the end of the game, you defeat the evil alien power and the people of the world that you're in, which is a relatively small planet, but the people of the world that you're in start revolting against the government, and you find out that Paige, who is your anthropomorphic pig or warthog friend, is infected with the alien cyber virus, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And it just sort of cuts out from that point. But it didn't really, did it? Because there was more after that.
Yeah, Fred, there was... Oh, wow, we are killing these segues until I mentioned how we're killing the segues. Yeah, so, what was it, 6-7 years ago, a fantastic-looking trailer arrives for the much-wanted sequel, Beyond Good and Evil 2. And we, haven't heard much since.
Well, there was. I remember there being 2 pieces of content for this game. So there was the trailer, which is just it just shows Paige and he's inhaling a bee or something like that. And if you look very closely in that trailer, you can see that his hand is bandaged, which is, I think, referential to the end of the first game. But then there was also another trailer which showed like this crazy fluid parkour gameplay that made it look like Mirror's Edge almost.
Was that a real one, or was that? Oh yeah, no, I remember. I remember that.
Yeah, and then nothing ever came of that either. And when they, whenever they bring up the game to the game's creator, who is a French guy who also is the guy who does Rayman.
Yeah. I think he leaks that stuff in hopes that like the fervor will get Ubisoft to take maybe take 20 people off the 12,000 people working on Assassin's Creed to work on Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, but he's straight up said it's happening. It will come out one of these days. And the last time he really talked about it was he was saying like, "Oh, we're just waiting for a console to have enough power to handle what we want to do." And well, here you go. Consoles are out there, buddy.
Yeah, bro.
Unless he wants to make it an Oculus game, I don't know.
I'm nauseous already just thinking about it.
So yeah, I'm. That's one of the few titles on this list that I'm crossing my fingers and hoping like maybe someone will bring it back.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I would be looking forward to, I should say.
The next game on our list, however, there's definitely some people looking forward to this one.
Fred, why don't you take this one?
Oh God, you just don't want to touch it, do you?
Not with a stick.
Oh man, Half-Life.
I'm not familiar. Is that a game series?
That's a game of some sort. So, Half-Life 2 Episode 2 was the last entry into the series, and that released with Orange Box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
sorry. Or if you're on the East Coast, Orange Box.
Yeah.
Orange Box.
Orange. So that came out with Portal, which was many years ago. Although to be fair, we've only gotten 2 Portals since then. Anyway, so this is a game I've never seen such fan fervor for a game. Like people really want this story to be completed, and the second game did leave on a cliffhanger in that you sort of think you've won, you've detonated a bomb in like the alien mothership or something along those lines, and then all of a sudden everything goes to shit. One of your companions dies, and to be continued.
You know, Fred, I gotta be quite honest with you. Part of me is really happy that they haven't said boo about this, because I kind of like that it pisses people off, and I'll tell you why. The story in Half-Life is not that good.
Well, it's dated. I mean, when the first Half-Life came out, how many years ago is that now? The first Half-Life was like that
was 98 or 99, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I could have played that on my first PC. That's forever ago in game time. And
Fred, is this ridiculous?
Dude, you know what? I think you lying down like that while we podcast, that's your third posture change. So Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Oh yeah, the Holy Trinity.
But yeah,
leaning, lying on a pillow.
God, you just got all sexified, John.
Oh God, I'm like so YouTube now.
You gonna start making weird noises?
All right, I gotta sit back up. I'm weirding myself out.
But yeah, so Half-Life 2, I can't believe that this wouldn't eventually happen. The real question is when.
Good question, Fred. I've asked people that work and/or worked there. Those guys, even people that have been let go from there, are tight-lipped about that stuff.
I think they're afraid of reprisal.
Gaben is going to show.
Not from Gabe, from the internet. Like, if they find out they know something, their home address will be posted, photos of their children.
My understanding is Gabe Noble's quite a knife enthusiast.
I could believe that as well.
All right, Fred, I'm going to take this one.
Take this one.
I feel like this is an actual, I don't know if we're saying a cliffhanger, but like a major plot hole that you think would be resolved.
Yeah.
Both you and I, like, after we finished this game, we're like, oh, the DLC's gotta be going over this thing.
This thing, yeah.
This thing that is so obvious. So Gears of War 3. There is a queen, right? Remind me of her name?
Queen Mira.
Queen Mira, uh, she's human or
Ish.
humanish, like compared to the rest of the creatures you're fighting, um, and like it's never like they don't even say, hey, that's weird that she looks like a lady.
Like I think at one point in Gears 2, when they introduce the character, Baird is like, "What the fuck?" And that's all they address. They never talk about why she looks the way she does, why she's the queen of the locust, why she has whatever powers she has. Like it's never touched.
And you played Judgment, didn't you?
Yes, and does not address it at all.
And you played all the Gears 3 DLC?
Yep.
Man, you know what scares me is like maybe they did talk about it, but maybe it's in the books or the comics, and I'm not going to take that dive.
No, I mean, well, the good news, the mixed news is that it was announced that Cliffy B is coming back to video games.
But he's not coming back to Gears.
He's not coming back to Gears, but Gears hasn't died as a franchise. That franchise still is going strong and still has potential. Well, maybe not going strong, but still has potential. Especially since the new generation of consoles is out and people actually really want a Gears game.
Yeah,
so I think they could bring it back.
Yeah, they're working on that up in Vancouver
now. Good.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. Because that game had one major unanswered question. I think this next game has many unanswered questions.
So
like, who the fuck announces a 24-chapter game?
That's a great question. Well, here's the thing. Like, Sega in their heyday was never
a powerhouse.
But by the late 90s, Fred, there's no way they had enough clout to announce something this ambitious.
Fair enough.
Like they were like the Saturn failed, like the Dreamcast didn't look that strong, you know?
Right.
So we're obviously talking about Shenmue 2.
Or Shenmue all, right?
Like Shenmue and Shenmue 2. I personally have never played the second one. I played the entire first one, which was arduous.
Yeah, mind-numbing would be the term I would use. I have to imagine the second one improved upon things that the first one did incorrectly.
I'd like to imagine that.
I know the voice acting wasn't much better.
I kind of want to play Shenmue 2 because I'm a masochist. But yeah, I guess they only got through, in the first two games, they got through the first 4 of the 24 chapters.
It's like, so is it written? Does this guy have an entire script?
So, my understanding is he has written everything.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine they, like, if he got to make another game, they would have to just, okay, we're going to do chapters 5 through 24 right now.
Yeah, I know. Kickstarter.
Well, you know, Sega owns the IP. You know?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I don't understand. They still make Yakuza games, you know, like, which are kind of like the spiritual successor to Shenmue.
Right.
At the end of the day, you can't deny like how influential Shenmue is, like with the open world stuff, with the boring stuff, with the QTEs.
Right. I honestly think you could bring it back.
Yeah. No.
And just be based on fan demand, right?
I think you could bring it back and like make it not awful.
Yeah, exactly. Just modernize the minutia of it. Like maybe just cut some of the bullshit. Like we know games are a vast virtual reality where we can make anything happen now. We don't need to prove it through proof of concept. Like day and night cycles are not really required anymore.
Yeah. I don't know.
No one wants to wait in a video game. I'm sorry, but that's the reality.
You have to wait sometimes in like Fallout and Skyrim. Anyway.
For 45 minutes? No.
Well, you just like, I'm gonna sleep here. You hit the sleep button and then you sleep there. But yeah, actually, GTA has some stuff that's time-based too. But anyway, I put this one on the list, even though you and I never played this, never wanted to play this. Nobody's played this. So Conduit II,
Right.
the sequel to the Conduit, which was supposed to be the Wii's hardcore game. People were like, "Oh man, it's gonna look as good as a 360 game." It didn't.
No, it was serviceable.
It was a shooter that kind of had some weird conspiracy themes, Washington D.C., the government, blah blah blah. But then they followed up the second game and like I guess kind of made it batshit crazy.
Yeah.
So I guess you fight off John Adams and an alien invasion.
Right, and John Adams, I think, turns into like Mecha John Adams at the end of the game or something like that.
Yeah, but like I remember when this happened, people were like, "You have to go watch the video of the ending of Conduit 2," because because apparently after you win, if you call playing a Wii first-person shooter with WAGO controllers winning, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln step out of a portal wearing power armor, and yeah.
We're here to help.
Yeah. I don't like. Man, Nick Cage in that movie, in that game.
It's so weird because like I kind of like really crazy offbeat stuff like that. I mean, how many games have we played that were like totally wackadoo, like Asura's Wrath or what's the game with Monkey?
Oh, Enslaved.
Yeah, Enslaved. Like all of those games had some really weird themes going on. Maybe none of them quite got to this level. Asura's Wrath would probably be the closest.
Well, maybe Asura's Wrath DLC where you fight Akuma.
Oh yeah, you fight Ryu and Akuma. Yeah, I think that's a close second maybe. But yeah, this got totally wacky. I would love to see. I would almost want to go back and play the first two games, not on the Wii, but just to see a third come out to see what they do with that crazy ending.
I would never play this.
Or do you think that crazy ending was just a concession to the fact that they knew there wouldn't be another title?
I don't know, man. The first one sold well enough to make a second one, but like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Wii was already kind of in its death throes by then.
Yeah, it was late in the cycle. So John, this last one I threw in. I know you didn't play it, but I remembered it when we thought of the topic, and I wanted to throw this in. So
near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, the Dead Space trilogy. So the third Dead Space came out year and a half ago, I think. I mean, I definitely played it while we were doing the show. And so it had a main storyline, and then it had DLC content. And the DLC was actually pretty good from what I remember compared to the body of the game. And that had been the case with Dead Space 2 as well. Dead Space 2's DLC was actually much better than the main game. And both of those are complete and total dead ends. Dead Space 2, the DLC was a side story about other people who were in another Dead Space universe game, and they never really resolved the cliffhanger at the end of it.
You know, I really meant to play that other Dead Space Extraction, the on-rail shooter. I like on-rail shooters.
Well, yeah. So the DLC from Dead Space 2 had to deal with the characters from that game.
Mm-hmm.
But also, so Dead Space 3. If you beat the DLC, you and Isaac and I forget the name of the other guy, your companion in that game, because it was sort of like a co-op-y game. Go back to Earth, try to meet up with your girlfriend, and when you get to Earth, you find out that Earth has been infested or invaded or whatever by the bad guys from the entire series. And then your spaceship that you're in has to bank hard because it's coming up on something that's going to hit it, and then screen goes to static, boom, credits. So you're left with this cliffhanger that now they have to go and fight this enemy on their home planet, and nowhere is safe, so on and so forth. 3 was not a great game. It didn't sell as well as their expectations, though it did sell like incredibly well. It was just, they set the expectations so high because it's EA and it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
And mechanically, they changed the game, and I think it was much for the worse. Crafting changed. The game became less about survival horror and felt more like just gun everything down and keep running. So it wasn't as good as the second one. So as a result, we don't know if we'll ever see anything more in this universe again. Now, EA still owns the IP. They could do something with it. I just don't know that they will necessarily pick up the story at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, because they have to look at that and say, well, how many people played this DLC? But of course, it could be last time on Dead Space.
Or it was all the dream of an autistic child holding a snow globe.
What is that reference to?
I want to say Dallas.
Newhart?
I think Patrick Duffy was involved. That's all I'm saying.
Wait.
No, Newhart did it too.
What was the TV show that realized that they were in? They were in Newhart. Well, because it was Newhart was in Newhart, and then somebody else was in Newhart.
Right. Newhart ended with him waking up from a dream sequence.
In the other
show.
Yeah. I like that.
That was back when that was an original plot device and not an overused cop out.
Yes. Well, speaking of overused cop outs, Fred, it's time to say goodbye. No, I don't fucking know, man.
This is all about transitions today.
Yeah, so that was our show about unresolved cliffhangers. If you think we missed any, be sure to write us or leave it in the comments or something. Come back next week, and we will have apparently some 100th episode spectacular, even though it's really like 125th episode.
Give or take.
Yeah, but for Fred Earhart, I'm John Anderson, and we will video game you next week.